going to shoot me?
Maybe. Well, probably. But not right now.
Ready, and action!
When we start Secret Invasion, Nick Fury has been off planet. And Maria Hill has just really been trying to, maintain order. But this current threat is getting out of control.
5 global terrorist strikes within the past year. Each one playing by a different group.
It's business as usual.
That's precisely what they want you to think.
Nick comes back having lost whatever power he had before. So we try and solve things without being too superhuman.
You going to shoot me?
Maybe. Well, probably. But not right now.
We get to jump into Nick Fury's world, which is very spy versus spy.
The kind of grittiness, the locations, the way it feels, the way it's written. It's a thriller.
Fury, we gotta be very careful now.
I had to pinch myself many mornings when I would step on set with Olivia Colman, Sam Jackson, Don Cheadle, Emilia Clarke, Ben Mendelsohn, Kingsley Ben-Adir. I mean, some of my favorite actors in the world.
Alone at last. After every Marvel film released, I would phone my agent and say, please, can I be in a Marvel thing? I never imagined it would happen.
What makes you think you can get him to speak?
Oh, I can be quite persuasive.
Looking at the MCU through these different lenses, you get to see all these different sides of the characters. And we get to really sort of dig into who they are.
How much do you know about your security detail?
What do you mean, how much do I know about it?
This idea of who can you trust, that is really the heart of the show.
You could be talking to somebody you have a very close relationship with, and then you find out that that's not who you thought it was.
It becomes sort of a cat and mouse game that we build toward to the end of the show.
You can't predict it, and you can't preempt it, and you can't fathom it until it happens.
I'm Nick Fury. Even when I'm out, I'm in.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Marvel just dropped a brand new Secret Invasion trailer, so we'll break it down. There's a whole bunch of new footage. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get the videos. Of course, I'll be doing episode videos for this when it premieres next month. One of the really interesting things that's going on during this series is the introduction of more British Marvel characters. Kit Harington's Black Knight is a really good example of that. There's a connection between the Union Jack character, who we'll see during this, and people like Captain Britain, who I know people have been asking for in the MCU for a long time, so I'll explain how they're all connected. There's a whole bunch of new footage of Emilia Clarke's character. She's basically like Space Khaleesi. They're setting her up as a big character in the future of the MCU. I believe she'll be working with Nick Fury on his Saber space station after the events of this series. She's not playing Abigail Brand, but in the way that Marvel changes a lot of comic book backstories, I think that they're giving her a lot of Abigail Brand story in the future, basically that role. And I love the fact that Samuel L. Jackson is wearing a Samuel L. Jackson t-shirt. He's like one of the few people who could get away with that without people calling him pretentious. This version of Secret Invasion is meant to be based more on the political paranoia infiltration aspect, where Nick Fury is trying to find out who all the Skrulls are. And we know a couple of the big characters in the MCU are going to secretly be Skrulls. It won't be quite the same thing as the comics, like every single Avenger isn't going to be in this, like we won't see a version of Spider-Man who is a Skrull in this. But there are big rumors that we'll find out that some big characters like the US President, possibly even Rhodey, wind up being Skrulls. The whole idea is that they're using this to pave the way for Marvel's Dark Reign, which they kind of did in the comics too. Like, Dark Reign came right after Secret Invasion in the wake of what happened during Secret Invasion, so it's kind of the same vibe with this version of MCU Secret Invasion. It's not quite as connected to the larger Kang multiverse plot either. The whole Dark Reign of Marvel Phase 5 with villains coming to power like they did in the comics is kind of like a separate thing. But just starting at the beginning of the footage, working our way through shot by shot, talking about Easter eggs as we go along. So at the beginning of this, you see Nick Fury running through the streets in the middle of the night trying to find another Skrull. He's basically chasing them down through a lot of the series, trying to find out where they are, who they're pretending to be. With the help of Talos and his daughter, played by Emilia Clarke, who is playing a character called Gia. She was in the original Captain Marvel movie. They're just saying that she's that little girl and she's grown up since then. But the whole idea is that she has deep connections to this evil group of Skrulls, and the whole idea is that the evil group of Skrulls is sort of a faction within Talos's larger faction of Skrulls that are tired of waiting around for Nick Fury to find them a new home. they become more militant and decide to take the Earth as their new home. Like, fine, we'll just take it from them. We're tired of waiting. And as Samuel L. Jackson says at the beginning of the trailer here, Nick Fury is operating at a fraction of his power. He doesn't have all the resources that he had before. And the reason why they say that he spent so much time away from Earth on the Saber space station, with Talos pretending to be him, sort of filling in for him on duties like we saw during Spider-Man Far From Home, is because he was so broken after the events of Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. So normally coming into Marvel movies, he's in this position of power, like he's this very fearsome person, but coming into this, he's in a vastly weakened state. Kobe Smulders is back as Maria Hill, the real version of Maria Hill, not Talos' wife. She said that she's been running around the planet while Nick Fury has been gone since Avengers Endgame, trying to keep everything together. You remember that she got snapped along with Nick Fury, so she was gone for that 5-year time jump too. But the way she yells at Nick Fury a little bit in the previous trailer, she's kind of mad at him because she's been trying to contact him to inform him about what's happening with the Skrulls, and he hasn't been answering her, but now he's finally come to planet Earth to deal with it. We get a look at Everett Ross, who's talking to this other character here. I'm not sure who this character is supposed to be. It just seems like someone who's clued into what the Skrulls are doing. Maybe he's part of one of the intelligence agencies. And he's gone full Charlie Day meme board in the background behind him with all these conspiracy theories about what the Skrulls are doing. But he's actually right, because the Skrulls are all trying to take over. You remember that because of the events of Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Val had him arrested for trying to help the Wakandans, and then Okoye broke him out. So essentially he's been a fugitive ever since then. Not that much time has gone by, but a little bit of time has gone by. So he's also trying to help Nick Fury, but from the shadows as well. And it sounds like the Skrulls are orchestrating these terrorist attacks around the world to try and destabilize the world governments, to create this environment of fear that will cause them to attack each other, weaken their states, and will enable them to take over much more easily. They're using all their secret identities, pretending to be people, to sow discord on planet Earth. They kind of teased that during Black Panther Wakanda Forever, the whole idea that a lot of the world wanted Wakanda's resources, the whole idea that everybody, all these different nations around the world post-snap aren't getting along that well. I believe that'll also culminate, too, during Captain America and the Thunderbolts movie with Tiamat, the whole idea that the Celestial is full of all kinds of cosmic resources. I think they're even saying that adamantium in the MCU comes from Tiamat's body, and it winds up turning into this race between all the different world nations like Val, Thunderbolt Ross, who's the US president, to try and claim it all for themselves before other nations take it. We get a much longer scene of Olivia Colman's Sonya Falsworth character interrogating who I think she believes is another Skrull. It seems like she's poking him, torturing him just a little bit, trying to get him to change. Sonya Falsworth is meant to be the daughter of the original Union Jack, who was part of the Howling Commandos, Captain America's Howling Commandos during World War II. If you haven't read any of the Union Jack-related comics, he doesn't have any special powers. He's just super highly trained. He doesn't even have super soldier serum. But their family is also a little bit like the Black Knight's family, where the mantle gets passed down from father to son to daughter to whoever, to like the next generation. So his descendants wind up taking the title, but Union Jack, relatively small character in the comics. Usually when people think about British characters, they think about Captain Britain. Maybe we'll see a version of Captain Britain show up at some point in the future. A lot of Marvel's British characters, the British comics, rose up through the King Arthur mythology, so a lot of the Black Knight's history, Captain Britain, those characters, is tied up with the King Arthur Chronicles mythology. There were a couple references to Camelot during the Eternals movie, King Arthur, Excalibur, so we know that those characters do exist in the MCU, but we'll see if they ever wind up paying that off. I think the next place that we'll see Kit Harington's Black Knight character now, it used to be the Blade movie, but I believe the next place it's coming back now is going to be Eternals 2, but they didn't say when that's going to be released. It could be years before that comes out. Olivia Colman said that her Union Jack character is a little bit more like a British version of Val, a little more sinister bend. The same way you see that smile on her face, like she's being all cute with this Skrull, she's getting ready to torture him. The same way that you see Val act all sweet, but she's really, really a terrible person. We get a little bit more from Don Cheadle's Rhodey and Emilia Clarke's Gia. One of the big things they've revealed about Rhodey is at this point in the timeline, he's been the right-hand man, like the Secretary of State to the US president for a good long while. And there's even a rumor that he's going to wind up being a Skrull too, like he is one of the characters who is secretly a Skrull. The whole idea is that Thunderbolt Ross has to become the US president by the events of Captain America 4, so in order for that to happen, you either have to kill off the current US president, or he has to be a Skrull himself. So you can theorycraft all you want. If Rhodey's going to be the Skrull, then maybe he's the person that gets rid of the president, or if somehow the US president is discredited because members within his cabinet, like the other people that work around him, wind up being Skrulls, he winds up being voted out of office in favor of Thunderbolt Ross, who's going to be a way more hardcore version of a US president. Part of the idea with Dark Reign is that the villains take power. I think they're giving him some of the Norman Osborn storyline, where after Secret Invasion, Norman Osborn came to power, he took control of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think for Thunderbolt Ross, that's the US presidency. But like even before this, during Black Panther Wakanda Forever, or by those events, Val has become the director of the CIA. She already wields enormous power and is doing all kinds of shady stuff with it. I believe she's going to be the person who will also be behind the new Weapons Plus program, or the new version of it. They talked about that during the original Incredible Hulk movie. Thunderbolt Ross had started that again. The whole idea with the Weapons Plus program is that it's like the Super Soldier program continuation, where they continue to try and make super soldiers using different means. So like Captain America is Weapon 1. By the time you get to Wolverine, Weapon X is actually Roman numeral, he's Weapon 10. He's just like the next iteration of the Weapons Plus program. Even Deadpool is part of the Weapons K program, which is kind of like an offshoot of that. But you can see during their clip here where Nick Fury is trying to explain to Rhodey about what the Skrulls are doing, infiltrating all these important groups, all these world governments. Like, how much do you know about your security detail? Some of them might be Skrulls, but also Rhodey himself might be a Skrull. Let me know in the comments, though, which characters do you want to wind up being Skrulls? Like, is Rhodey really going to be a Skrull? There's also rumors about Sharon Carter actually secretly having been a Skrull for a while now, too. And I just did a video about the Super Skrulls, like the extra powers that some of these Skrulls will have during the Secret Invasion series. Like, the whole idea is that some of them, the new generation, evolve more powers, kind of like the Super Skrull. There's a couple other big videos that I'm working on, a bunch of stuff happening the next couple of weeks, a bunch of big movies coming out too. So be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. And that special Guardians of the Galaxy and Star Wars giveaways are still going, so I'll announce winners for those in the next couple of videos. Everyone click here for that Secret Invasion Super Skrull video, and click here for my new Daredevil Born Again first look video with the Punisher. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.